problem is all inside your head, she said to me. The answer is easy if you take it logically.
Hey guys, Mike Keller. So I'm coming down to the end on this pile of prints here, and I got to go over them and see what little spots and areas need to be touched up. So I thought I'd show you what I'm doing. I'm not new to spotting prints, but I'm new to figuring out the new paper and what works with it. This picture here, oh, reflection from the light. This picture here is okay. The only thing that bothers me, there's this little branch sticking out. If I actually printed this again, I might crop it in a little bit more. But then there's this little line of, looks like a piece of dust perhaps, and a couple dots next to it. So I'll deal with that. First thing is, when you're touching up the print, orient it so you're not putting your hand over the whole print. Orient it so you're just dealing with a little spot that you're trying to fix. I usually wear these readers, but I've got these magnifiers that work pretty good for looking at stuff up close. So I'm using this stuff here. I'm printing on Ilford multigrade fiber-based paper, and this ink works good for me because the tone and the shade is very similar to the color on the print. And what I do is, I don't even squeeze anything out. I just use the tip of the dropper, and I'll just touch it to a spot, and I've got plenty of ink to touch up. I set up my little palette here. I've got clean water up on this side here. This is kind of like my slurry. I'll be dipping in there. That'll get gray by the end of the day. And then I've got a couple spots so I can kind of like smear off a little bit. This is already starting to dry. Go back here to my slurry, pick up a little water, dilute this a little bit. Get different colors of gray. If I need the black, I'll go back to that. But back here, I want to be like a lesser color of gray. I'm picking up a little more water. Get down to the color I like, and then I'm doing like just a little swatch. Yeah, that's too much. Maybe I come over here and I take a little bit of it off. Brush was kind of wet. I take a little bit of it off on a piece of paper towel. I'm down to a lighter color there. I'm trying to match this color down here. You can always go back and make it darker. Let's come over here, get rid of that little spot. My brush is starting to dry out. I'll come back over here. You got to be careful when you get to the edge, because it'd be most noticeable here if you splurt it over the border of the print. Now don't forget, you're just trying to make things so people don't see, their eye isn't attracted to this part of the print. Well, stare at it, it's got a hair of white on the bottom of it. You just get to a certain point where if you don't leave it alone, you're making it worse. Come on, focus. It's there. Barely see it. That's close enough. Key is not to be, focus, you bitch. Key is not to be overdone. That won't work. So there we are, 10 minutes. So you're looking at this test print here that I'm using to smear my brushes on and test the color of the spotting. You say, what's really wrong with that print? Here's the actual print, and you see a little bit of difference. I got a little bit more detail in the calf. Calf is a little bit more black there, and then I'm a little bit whiter and less detail back here in the background. And you can see that's burned in a little bit there. I'm picky. So day 2 here of spotting for me. A couple things that I didn't mention yesterday. This Dr. Phil Martin's Black Star waterproof India ink. This stuff dries really fast. I'm brand new to this. I don't know a whole lot about this. You know, if you come back to me in a year after I've been using this, or 6 months, I'd probably have some more advice about it. But one thing I find is that you need to start with a clean palette every day. So I'm cleaning out all of the old ink. With other stuff, especially with like India ink and gum arabic, you used to be able to wet it a little bit and go back to it the next day and take a little bit off of it and go back to work. But you can't do that with this stuff. This stuff dries hard, and it doesn't, you can't really dilute it with water because it's waterproof. I'm cleaning my brushes with this Bombay pen cleaner. It's made for graphic pens, but it works just as well on brushes. I'm still stuck with this Grumbacher number 50 brush. I got one from Blick Art Supply. It's pretty similar. A little bit more. A little better focus there. A little bit more bristles to it. I suppose I could pick a couple of those out if I really wanted to be nerdy, but I'm still sticking with my old Grumbacher. I have not been able to replace this brush yet, so you're really looking for a fine brush. Here's my brush pointing and sampling color area on an old print, which is becoming a work of art of its own. And today I'm just going back to touch up more prints. I don't have much else. Bad mistake here. Open bottle. Can spill stuff. This is not the time you want to spill anything. All right, I got the cap on the bottle, and just for your information, this is not just bottled water. It's a bottled water bottle, but I've got distilled water in it. Just take any of the impurities that God knows what's in water anymore. Well, down to the last print here. A little picture from Laguna Pueblo. So here's where I'm at. This is my brush cleaning, brush shaping, tone and color testing print. And the reason I chose this print is because it's got good blacks in the calf, and it's got whites in it, and you got a lot of tones that you can mimic to see what works for the print you're actually spotting. What I'm going to say is the tip of your brush needs to be kept clean. You don't want buildup in here between the bristles and the metal, and you want to try and keep your bristles pointed. I find sometimes when I'm actually touching up a print, you're really using like one bristle or two bristles. It's just very little. So keep your brush clean. You'll have to clean your palette out every day because you can't reuse this stuff. There's where I'm at today after spotting, I don't know, 50 prints maybe. I just wind up, this was my clear reservoir over here. This was other clear water over here. You wind up just picking a little bit of it up, and then I'm smearing it off in a clear area. I use this big white area, these other areas here, just to kind of smear my brush off and see what color I've got. And then I come over to the white area on the print or some other area, and I make a little test mark. And when I get done, I'm rolling the brush. I'm rolling it with my fingers to kind of keep that point on it, getting it wet and rolling it. So if I wanted something a little darker, I could come pick up some of this and come out here and test it. Not dark enough. I don't know, this may have dried up. This stuff dries up really fast. Yep. So if I really need it darker, I'd wind up putting another dot down. Usually I'm putting down a couple of little dots because your first dot's pretty big, and then I'll leave like a couple more. Now there's water here, but if this was a dry area, I'd leave a couple of dots that I could work with. So one might be a little more diluted, one might be less. I'm coming in here, I'm getting a little of this black. Very black. Come over here and test it on the print. Then I could go back and just spot in a little area. Don't forget, pictures are grain. There's little dots all over the place, so you're really not trying to paint with your spotting brush. You're going in. I don't really have an area here, but let's say I wanted to spot something on the cowboy's hat here. I'd be in here doing little tiny dots. Little tiny dots. Anyway, you've probably seen this in another part of the video. I like this guy. He's pretty cool. It's like surrounded by birds. I know. I've been down here too long. Here's the other part of the equation. Some kind of good magnification so you can see what you're doing. I thought I was going to want 10 times, 15 times magnification. I'm actually using the 2.5 times. And this works out good for me. And I still wind up getting equilibrium dizzy when I look up from the glasses to where I'm working on the table. The magnification is pretty good here. So we can get down pretty close. I am this far away. And that works out about right for me. That's all I got. I need lunch.
The problem is all inside your head, she said to me.